The Washington, D.C. Region Virtual Racing League heads to round number 6 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is one of the most heralded tracks of U.S. motor racing history and international racing history, and today it plays host to the 6th round of our winter racing series with the GR86 Cup car. Hi everybody, I'm Kyle Heyer, joined by Finian DeCuna as we head into this 6th round. Finian, this is going to be a fun one. A relatively new rescan here at iRacing. We've got some more runoffs, some more curbs, and a different track layout than what was traditional here, at least the last time this track was scanned. So some things to learn, and a drafty front straightaway for these low-power GR86 Cup cars.
I'll definitely be a lot of fun, especially too with the reconfiguration of this track. A lot of heavy braking zones added, and what that's going to mean is a lot of potential passing into those heavy braking zones after these long straightaways. So you can expect a lot of passing, a lot of action tonight in the field.
This racetrack constructed all the way back in the early 1900s and originally planned to be 3 to 5 miles long and 150 feet wide. They had to downscale that though when they couldn't get a plot of land that big. They paved the entire place with bricks, and now there's just a yard left of those bricks, those original bricks at the start-finish line. That's why they call it the Brick Yard. Heading down to the racetrack, qualifying underway as we are about 5 minutes into this qualifying session. Over 40 cars here, another great showing for the field. Giancarlo Schooler for Delta Sport currently at the top of the board, Finian.
They're doing a solid job. Jordan Treacle, surprisingly good effort for him in the 70 car, up in second place. Struggled a little bit last week at Barber, but making a good effort in, as well as Ken Halstead. Jameson Huffman, I think he's a relatively newer name.
No, we've seen him. We've seen him before, but he's having I think I don't want to say uncharacteristically good day so far, but qualifying up a little higher than we're used to seeing.
Yeah, and then Christopher Lapper's back in 5th place in that top 5 in the 33 machine.
Lapras in that 33, as you mentioned. And some of the drivers we're used to seeing up front all the time. Ken Halstead in the number 23. Got caught up in a couple things at Barber last week. That was a wild round of racing. I thought put on a really good show, but there was a lot of drivers that got caught up in a lot of incidents. One of them, DJ Alessandrini, the number 61, who's trying to rebound this week and get back up on top of the board.
Oh, and he's going to rebound hard up to second. Ooh, he actually almost would have had pole, but Morgan Burkhart came up flying past the line almost at the exact same time and took pole away from him. You can see just narrowly had a DJ on the track, so he's going to take pole by just about 1/10 of a second over DJ, but both of them still have some laps remaining.
And Burkhart has just really found his footing in this car in particular, and over on the other league race we do on Thursday nights for the FSS Esports Spec Miata series. He has been absolutely crushing and dominating that series as well. This kind of low power combination has been, the front engine rear wheel drive combination has really been treating Morgan well. We'll see if DJ can go any faster, but currently on this lap he is not. Morgan Burkhart though is up 1/10. As other drivers still have yet to lay down times, including one of Burkhart's teammates, Caleb Patry.
And Patry working through Sector 3 here. Very twisty, although it used to be even more twister when it had double hairpins in that section of track when it used to host the United States Grand Prix for Formula One from 2000 to 2007. Taking a look at it from above the modern layout now.
Yeah, this is a redone layout. And you see that turns 5 and 6, that's the quick left-right. We're not going to run the extra loop, which still exists. We'll head straight on down to turn number 7, quick flick back to the right and left at turns 8 and 9, then get on back on power at turn number 10, carry it through 11, all the way to a heavy braking zone at turn 12. You finish with turn 13 and 14. Your big passing zones, turns 1, 7, and 12, Finian. Big trouble zones as well there, though. You can find yourself too late on the brakes or get hit from behind. It's just a challenging sequence of corners, 1, 7, and 12, and the radii of these corners is so incredibly tight that getting the car to slow down and corner through there is an immense challenge in itself.
Not to mention, too, a lot of these corners, you can see the corner right there, some big, massive curves on the apex, which are very inviting to hit and nail in most cars, but we were talking about this before the broadcast, Kyle, that with these cars in particular, the way they are now, you kind of want to stay away from the curbs because that can throw the car off balance and send you spinning.
Yeah, especially at really low speeds. This car has so much grip relative to its weight, about 2,500 pounds or so in this trim, and it's got so much grip from those slick racing tires that when you get it up on curbs, it has a tendency to get airborne, especially when you got a lot of the weight on the nose, because there's not a lot of weight in the rear of this car. It's a relatively 50-50 bias, but when you get that nose weight on it with this soft suspension, the rear end gets really, really light, especially when you jump up on those curbs, as you mentioned, and that has been a big trouble spot. Think back to Sonoma around number 2 or 3. That was a really challenging round for everybody. And this while it's not has almost no elevation in comparison to Sonoma, it does share a lot of characteristics in terms of some of the corner radii and the curb height. So I think we're going to see some of the same there of those challenges.
One driver definitely look out for is Sandrini coming to complete his final lap in qualifying and narrowly away from potentially getting pole. He only has to make up a 10th, but that's going to be really hard, though.
What I'm seeing here on the timing and scoring tells me that he's going to be pretty green here in terms of his lap time. If you'd like to look, live timing and scoring is available at simtvbroadcasting.com. Just hit the live timing tab. Here comes Alessandrini onto the front straightaway. Looks like he's in the green. Finian will see if he can go to the top of the board. And that time through, it is a 147.92. It is not going to do it. Lost some out of the final corner.
Yeah, he was at times just narrowly getting back on the same pace as Burkhardt, but then losing a 10th in a corner, then getting it back, then losing it again. So just a little bit off, but that's going to mean we've got some good racing up ahead, considering how close those two are. Looking at Carlos Pratt, one of the last few drivers remaining to put a time down, is on lap number 2, was not able to get a clean lap 1 in.
See how much this thing pitches and rolls on the brakes. Right there, you can see it drop like 2 inches in ride height, and it was actually fascinating when I was driving this car around a track with some heavy compression. Think turn 6 at Laguna Seca or the downhill at Lime Rock. This thing compresses so much because the suspension is so soft, and that changes your camber pretty wildly in a strut-based suspension. So the handling characteristics kind of drive away from you when you have suspension that is this soft, and that was supposedly done intentionally by Toyota to kind of increase the perception of weight transfer and make the car a little bit more interesting to drive. And I'll agree with that. I just think it's going to translate better in the real world than it has here in the simulator, but we'll see. Those cars will hit the track in Sonoma in April.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's in the sim, it's become a little too deadly, a little too lively for probably most drivers' liking. I happened to take this car out for a whirl a couple days ago, just on a whim decided to race the Road America, and it is definitely lively through some of those corners, let me tell you.
Yeah, it is lively, and Road America, again, is not one of those places. The curbs are violent there, but they're not necessarily tall, so it's not even the worst of the characteristics of the car. So tonight, I think drivers will be fighting this just a little bit. We have 3 heat races on the night, 2 10-minute races, and a 15-minute race. All of them count for points. There's an 8-driver invert in race number 2, and we'll head down to the racetrack and roll through our starting lineup here because we don't have a ton of time. We have half a lap to get through all of the starting lineup, at least this first time through. So kicking things off on the front row, it's Morgan Burkhardt in the number 2. DJ Alessandrini lines up alongside him in the number 61.
Moving back to row number 2 is going to be Andrew Pilata in 3rd in the 96. Next to him, Giancarlo Schooler in the 6th in 4th place.
In 5th place, row number 3, it's Darren Treacle in the number 70. Steve Ficacci starts 6th in the number 51.
Moving on back to 7th place, it's going to be Ken Seal in 23. James Caff is going to be next to him in the 129 in 8th.
9th place, row 5, Jack Christie in the number 19. Jamison Huffman starts 10th in the 989.
Christopher Lappers is going to be rolling up in the 33 and 11. Caleb Patry next to him, the 198 in 12th place.
13th place, Mark Shrivastava in the number 87. Colin Daner had a good race, good run at Barber. He starts 14th in the 88.
Back in 15th is going to be Darian Taggart in the 95. Next to him, Kevin Dew in the 243 in 16.
17th place, Mike Leader in the number 53. Adam Kobach starts 18th in the number 85.
Back in 19th is going to be Peter Zhang in the 28 machine. Next to him, Will Robbins will be in the 35, rounding out your top 20.
21st place is Wojtek Heidesek in the number 11. Richard Sawicki starts 22nd in the 528.
Back 23rd is going to be Anthony Montello in the 268 in the 23rd. Jonathan Cray next to him in 24th in the 18 car.
25th place is Deacon Greenfield, the number 32, and Ryan Daner starts 26th in the 14.
In 27 is going to be Trenton McMillian in the 36 car. Ryan Carball back next to him in 28th, all the way back there in the 71.
Jason Meinhardt will have to start in 29th in the number 78. Michael Montello, not a great qualifying effort for Michael. He starts 30th.
Back 31st is going to be Carlos Pratt in the 38 machine, and then Sly Stafford's next to him in the 719 in 32nd.
33rd place is Ed Harris in the number 29, and Albert No starts 34th in the 181.
Louis Lassie is going to be rolling off in the 43 and 35th with Greg Ginsberg in the 72 and 36th.
37th is going to be Don Manning in the number 92. John Willeman starts 38th in the number 13 car.
And then last but not least, we have Bob Schumacher rounding out your field of 39 cars. Jermaine Major is not in the field. So 39 cars we rolling to take the green here in race number 1.
And they are rolling, and It is a relatively cool day here at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and drivers working to warm up their tires and brakes because it is a long run from the start-finish line all the way down to turn number 1, several thousand feet, and even in a car like this, you can get up to not quite terminal velocity, but pretty darn close to it. But your braking point is going to move forward, or I guess rearward, towards the corner a little bit more on this first lap, and we're going to see things get maybe 5 wide on the front straightaway here as we get rolling for the start. The Washington, D.C. region Virtual Racing League kicks off round number 6 from the Brickyard. Here they come. Already some bumping and banging. One car out of line. That's the 989 of Huffman. Green flag flies. We're racing at Indy. 10 minutes on the board.
And all 39 cars, as you can see, all lined to stern, nose to tail, using the slipstream now to try to make up as many positions as possible. It's going to be very crowded into turn number 1.
Cars splitting out 2 and 3 wide. There's some 4 wide. I think that is... who's that in the blue and red in the middle there? That heading down towards turn number 1. And so far, so good. I think we've gotten almost everybody through it, and we have indeed.
That's very impressive considering how close and how aggressive a lot of these guys were through those first few corners, but we make it out alive. Your top 3, Burkhardt, Allison Drini, and your Pilata.
First time through the run here at turn number 4 and 5. Whoa, spin, slide, one car off to the left.
Kevin Zhu off and around in the chicane, the first victim of tonight. And the car is in one piece, though. Didn't hit anything.
It's good news for Kevin Zhu. Meanwhile, into turn number 7, another big passing opportunity. Ken House-Seal and Caleb Patry fighting for spots. And the car I was mentioning in turn 1 was Christopher Lapras. He was split 3 wide up to 13th place. He's got Kovac behind him trying to make headway here. Look at this. The 88 of Colin Daner and Jack Chrissy side by side.
Oh, and Daner running out a little bit wide, going to lose spots. He's going to get passed by Huffman and a car off in the background.
Peter Zhang got absolutely clobbered into turn number 10.
And gets it back going on the track. Meanwhile, midfield still fighting hard for just about 11th, 12th place. And Colin Daner is still fighting with Lapras. Neither driver can decide which position they want. They've been fighting side by side for most of the lap. 3 wide into the penultimate corner. It goes wrong. That's Montello, I believe, off wide and hits another car, but still makes it out okay. Somehow everyone managed to somewhat survive the first lap. Yeah, I don't think Montello knew how many cars were to his inside there. Didn't leave maybe quite enough space. So I'll have to go back and look at that one a little later. Burkhardt leads. Pilata is on Alessandrini here for 2nd place, but he isn't able to get by. Here's Ken House-Seal. A little bit of contact there. Patry to the back of Treacle, and House-Seal has to back out a little bit. Big wild slide into turn 1 for Daner, chasing down Lapras for 12th. Daner still now trying to pursue Lapras for 12th place, as you mentioned, and then up ahead of them, Jameson Huffman. Not been gaining too many spots, actually lost 1 spot. Caleb Patry, though, on the other hand, he's gained 4 spots in only 1 lap. Jack Chrissy cuts turn number 4. Thought better than to try to get back on track and make everyone have to drive around him. Jonathan Crane has had a problem in the number 18. He's off in the kitty litter at turn number 4. And trying to get that thing back on the track, it's hard to do. It feels like forever, and you lose so many spots, especially in a 40-car field. So he's going to drop down the order. The leaders still not much has changed with them. Really is Allison Drini Pilata trying to follow the number 2 Burkhardt, who's actually been gaining quite a bit in the infield section. It's all going to come back to them on the front straightaway, though. I don't know if you can run away, but if anybody can, this number 2 seems like he has the pace to do it. For third, Giancarlo Schooler putting pressure on Pilata. You can see him going defensive now into the right-hander. He's trying to look to the inside and the outside. Couldn't quite get there, but the 6 might have some decent speed here. A little slide there from the 96 of Pilata, and Schooler's going to size him up here onto the front straightaway, try to turn underneath him at the final corner. Pilata defends beautifully there on corner exit. Now they're going to bump draft here, but they're losing sight of those front 2, so Schooler's got to put some pressure on him and goes around the outside. He's looking around the outside, hoping to see he even get any sort of slipstream from Allison Drini up ahead, who's trying to chase down Burkhardt. Side by side, though, for third. Schooler just narrowly ahead, but can he beat Pilata in the braking zone? Another teammate of the Delta Sport cars. Patry's really deep on the brakes into 1. Gets the job done on Darren Treacle. House-Seal runs 9th. And if that shows you, I mean, Alessandrini not leading, Ken House-Seal not in the top 5, that just goes to show you how competitive this field has been this season. It has been absolutely phenomenal. This car has been a challenge to drive, but those that have figured it out have been rewarded with great results. You can see the background, Ken House-Seal, just narrowly working around Darren Treacle side by side through the chicane. I think he heard you saying that he was in the top 5, was trying to make that happen. Still fighting for 8th. Treacle trying to get back at him, though. Alessandrini's not pressuring Morgan Burkhardt. He's staying in line as we go back to that Treacle versus House-Seal battle. I think DJ's trying to gap
the Delta Sport teammate of Giancarlo Schooler. It certainly will not help DJ if Morgan gets another teammate up in the mix.
Yeah, I'm sure Schooler's trying to do everything he can to just get as closest to DJ as possible, then get the slipstream on the straightaway so help reel him back in. Treacle, you can see, now lost the position back to Halcyon, trying to work back on him. From 9th place, he's dropped 4 spots in this race from where he started back in 5th.
And not really the best of starts in this race. We are going to invert 8, though. So if he can get that 1 spot back, he's going to be playing a pretty smart game. Slide for Huffman, left some smoke behind him, and Travastova's got a train of cars in his mirror as well.
Yeah, Huffman got a lot of curb, and remember we were talking about it before. Want to try to avoid it because the way it throws the car off balance, and go back in the grass, and a car heading to pit lane. Nope, never mind.
Mike Leader, he got kind of knocked that way. I don't think he was trying to get over there. And turn 13, too. If you don't get the pass done in 12, you can try to force it into 13, and that leads to some trouble as well. Morgan Burkhardt leads Alessandrini, but Schooler has reeled in that front bunch. It was more than a second. It's now down to just 8/10 from Schooler to Alessandrini, and that's close enough to draft.
Yeah, but still has to make up quite a bit of time, and they don't have a whole lot of time remaining here. We're already on lap 4, halfway through this race, and not to mention, too, he's got Plata and also Steve Fakashi in the 51, quietly running in 5th place.
If Alessandrini tries to do anything with Burkhardt here, or if he's going to just commit to pushing him and still try to break away. But Burkhardt has the advantage of being able to control the pace of this race. So for now, he leads, and Schooler is closing.
I think for DJ's best interest, it might be to just kind of stay in tow with Burkhardt just to keep Schooler as far back as possible, because as soon as that 6 catches up, he's going to bring about 2 or 3 other drivers with him. Then he's going to have to battle even more drivers.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try to get underneath him here and force a pass in the infield, but thought better of it. Back to Hausiel and Treacle. These two have been door-to-door tons this race, and Huffman is looking to take both spots away.
Yeah, this was started when Hausiel made a huge mistake at the end of the straightaway on the backstretch. Just over ahead, the car step out on him, got wide, and now you can see Hausiel, he's finally gotten back. Now Christopher Lapras, sorry, not Christopher Lapras, that is Huffman trying to make a move.
And Lapras is trying to get by Treacle now. He's got Colin Daner on his tailpipes, who's lost a couple spots in this race. And trouble for Carlos Pratt in the number 38. He's gone around. Let's have a look at what happened to the number 38.
He just ran wide and caught some grass, and around he went.
All on his own. Easy to do when you run out of curve.
For the lead, side by side, Burkhardt and Alessandrini nose side by side, I should say, down into the braking zone into turn 1. Looks like Didi's going to outbrake and barely get by Burkhardt.
Yeah, there's another battle behind him. Huffman getting by Hausiel and Treacle. So change for the lead and a change here for 8th, but Hausiel's going to try to muscle his way ahead. They rub. Huffman stays hooked to the inside. Great move there by the 989 to stay alongside him.
Yeah, that was tricky, though. They could have gotten ugly real quick, and Huffman, he's going to get rewarded by sticking in. He's going to get past Hausiel before the chicane and hold on to it.
Look at this one, though. Treacle and Lapras door-to-door. Harder to do in a GT car, but you can do it in this 86. Look at the 88, middle 3 wide almost.
Oh, that gap closed really quickly. Daner had to back out. Well, not really back out. He just went to the right-hand side. They are still 3 wide, and Daner's actually going to back out of this. It looks like Treacle's still trying to go up the inside of Lapras, though.
Oh, into turn number 7. Good battle here. They're going to bang fenders, though, and the 88's going to try to cross him over and take both spots away. Treacle's out wide. Can he get ahead of him in the steering? He does. Now sweep him back through turn number 10. Brake lights. Little baby touch there, but Treacle gets a great run.
Really tough nose-to-tail racing here. Hausiel and Huffman, you can see breaking away in the distance. Meanwhile, for the lead, Burkhardt all over the back of Alessandrini heading to the front straightaway.
And how willing is he to stay behind DJ? He was controlling the race excellently before. Pilatus gotten back by Schooler, so Morgan no longer has his teammate right behind him to play rear gunner.
And not to mention that, if you look off the back of Burkhardt, there you see Andrew Plata is right there up and behind him, so it's a 3-way battle for the lead.
This is getting really good. 1:30 left. That means that this should be the white flag lap. Indeed it is. So as they head down into turn 1, here comes Morgan on the outside. Pilata sees the door close as they head into turn 1.
He's snaking in the back of them as well. Alessandrini is going to win that battle out. Burkhardt narrowly going to be ahead of Pilata. Pilata trying to do the switchback over under to see if he can get some sort of run on the 2.
Pretty calm and orderly in the background, so we'll stay up here for now. DJ through turns 3 and 4. And Morgan is close, but if you're going to make a pass, Finney, you almost have to get it done or at least initiate it by turn 7 because you run out of opportunities. But here comes that run for Morgan Burkhardt. Can he swing by DJ and get the lead here?
He has to do. This is one of the best passing opportunities he can get. Here he goes. He's going to pull up to the left-hand side of the 61. side by side, deep on the brakes. Allison Trini going to try to outbrake him. Can he hold on to it, though? Not quite.
Oh, he slipped, and here comes Morgan around the outside now at turn number 8. Well done. Morgan Burkhardt takes the lead away and is the new leader of this race. Look at Schooler down the inside of Pilata.
Oh, here comes DJ. Got a great run back as they head back onto the main track on the outside of the 2. I was going to say this is last great opportunity. You can see them all piling up in behind the leader.
Turn number 12. Burkhardt's got the preferred line, but if DJ can stay outside here, he might have a shot into turn 13. They're still side by side. Pilata off course. Here comes DJ, turn 13. He's got the advantage now, but it swings back to a right-hander for the final corner.
Oh, can Burkhardt stay in there? DJ trying to squeeze him, and DJ is going to squeeze him out of it.
Can't do it. Alessandrini muscles his way ahead out of the final corner. What a pass, what a move by DJ to retake the lead in the final sector. Checkered flag, and that's just race 1.
Woo.
Woo.
That was
a fantastic race. Man. Albert No, Sly Stafford, Carlos Pratt. This is for 24th place. Here comes Carlos on a recovery from his slide. And nowhere to go with it.
I was going to say, he's trying to see if he can stick his nose anywhere. Need to get a good run out of that penultimate corner, but now they were through the long turn 14, side by side ahead of him, but not going to get it. Looks like Sly Stafford is just narrowly going to get ahead of Albert now.
Drag race to the line, and you're right, Stafford takes 24th, No 25th, Pratt 26th, and no other super close battles behind. And that was phenomenal. Well, we've got a brief moment before the session ticks over. Here's a look at your top 10, and we will go back and look at that finish before the night is over. That was a fantastic last lap between Alessandrini and Burkhardt. Pilata ended up 7th out of that, so he really got the short end of the stick at turn 12.
Oh, definitely it did. It just happened to be, two guys going for the same piece of racetrack, and Schooler ended up winning out in that with Pilata being stuck on the outside, but Pilata was still able to recover for 7th, which will help him in race number 2 because he'll be starting in 2nd with the invert.
And they are heading down to the racetrack right now. That's how quick things move here. Another 10-minute race coming up with that 8-driver invert, as you mentioned, Finian, and then we do a 15-minute race for race number 3. All the races are points races, and DJ got himself one, and what an excellent move there. Burkhardt got by him, and he fought back at the exit of turn 10, got to the outside at turn 12, and was able to hang on. And that was the critical move there, Finian. Had he lost overlap in 12, it would have been game over.
Yeah, and you can argue that he was being a little bit maybe too aggressive with Burkhardt, but he basically had to get that done and had to clear ahead of the 2. Otherwise, like you mentioned, if he didn't make that move, it would have been Burkhardt potentially with the win through that the long right-hander.
Field is gridding again for race number 2. 39 starters for this one. Jermaine Major will not make the grid, looks like a second time. Head back down to the racetrack, and on the left-hand side of the screen is going to be your starting lineup. Going to be an interesting one.
Get a chance to mention who finished in 8th in the last race, but it is Ken O'Seal, and he'll be starting on pole. If we're talking about Ken, that wasn't too much of a factor in the last race. Has a chance to be a big factor in this one.
Yeah, I think how Seal, I almost wonder if when he didn't qualify, maybe quite as well as he would have liked, if he just kind of conceded that and decided instead of trying to drive through the top 10, we'll just grab an 8th. Start on pole for race 2. I don't know how much control you really have. He was fighting Darren Treacle really hard for that spot for quite some time. It's not like he had infinite control over it, but it certainly looked like that was an outcome that he would have preferred versus finishing 5th in race 1 and having to pass a whole bunch of cars again in race 2.
Yeah, let's see what they do here now. Ken O'Seal, Pilata, Cathers, and Patrick your top 4. And see if Koch around in your top 5. With these guys up near the front. Also, we see a lot out of the 198. So I'm interested in seeing with these new faces near the front, they can make some noise here and break ahead, or we could see Schooler, Burkhardt, and Allison Trini work their way back.
Steve Ficacci, keep an eye on him as well. He's 5th in this race and was up in the top 5 in race number 1 at SVC. Psychology on that car, or technology? I think it's psychology.
I have no clue. I can't see from there.
But field bunches up here out of turn 14.
It is psychology.
Oh, it is.
These guys are going to be psyching each other out here by the time they get to turn number 1.
It's a great field to be in when you're talking about a bunch of crazy race car drivers. A lot of fading over to the right before the green flag flies. I don't know if there's a rule on that, but I think logic would tell you that there is. We'll have to keep an eye on that. 4 wide in the background as we storm towards turn 1.
Now we'll see. You think that Pilata would know the rules by now, racing with these guys for so long. We'll see how they get ruled as they head off into turn 1. Arguably more chaotic than they were the first time around.
Very chaotic, and they're going to slide and crash. One car spins.
Around. Patrick gets hit now. Huge. DJ's around as well. Big crash in turn number 2.
Oh, man, that is going to be... Oh, and DJ's just getting obliterated. Holy... Oh, this is mayhem at turn 3.
Still getting hit. Oh, he's still getting... Good God.
Oh, my goodness. And
I think I got hit by about 10 different guys.
That is going to be it.
Oh, wow. Dana's around. Ryan Carlisle's around in turn 3. I think someone dumped oil on the racetrack.
Yeah, virtual oil, if only. But, well, there goes another one. Man, this race, the polar opposite of the last one, huh?
Oh, they're like 4 wide through the chicane as well. You saw the giant group come by. Wow, that was a lot of death and destruction.
I would go back and watch a replay, but I have a feeling we're not going to learn a whole lot other than a whole lot of cars got involved in a crash there.
Oh, absolutely. We'll try to see who's remaining. You can see the giant lead now that Ken O'Seal and Pilata have. Considering most of their competition got caught up in those wrecks in the first few corners.
This is going to be a 2-horse race for this this race number 2, I think. Morgan Burkhardt managed to sneak through there. Oh, right.
Yes, he's got to slow down. Sorry, I shouldn't say black flag. He's got to slow down.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's why he's giving up positions there. Now trying to fight back, but now that he's got rid of it, trying to fight back with Darren Treacle in the 95. You see, these guys look like they're still pacing off into the final few corners here.
Yeah, Mike Leader, Colin Daner, all kind of trapped back here after those lap 1 shenanigans at turn number 2. And I think while these drivers are settling their differences, now is as good a time as any to go back and watch what happened down there at turn number 1. It all starts with... This is Schooler on the back of... Who's in this white car here?
That is Cathers in the 129, James Cathers.
Cathers, yep. And then that's when it all starts to go wrong. And Cathers is just... And you see Alessandrini there kind of rolls back into traffic and then just gets hit once, twice, thrice, and then just more pile in. And then you mentioned there was more incidents further on at turn number 3 and 4. But a chaotic first lap, kind of undoing all the successes of race 1. But now it's 2 drivers fighting for the lead into turn 7, O'Seal and Pilata. I'm sure they're happy. A lot of their big competition got taken out in that first wrecking, got put way further down the order. So O'Seal and Pilata have a chance to drive away because they're going to be starting in these positions in race number 3, but also getting solid points in race number 2 here. I can see there's a lot of drivers that are close on the relative screen as well. Live timing and scoring, simtvbroadcasting.com. There's Mike Leader in the green car making moves on Adam Koback in the 85. Another driver that got his GR86 shortened significantly in the first sector of the racetrack. Yeah, and Dana was involved in this battle as well back in 25th now because he had a slowdown cutting the chicane a little bit too much. Looking at it, Koback now in P20. Started P17. Breakaway. And here's Anthony Montello, who got turned around in race 1. It looks like he mostly avoided getting collected. 38th to 22nd in 2 laps. I'll take that any day. And now trying to fight there up ahead of him is Richard Sawicki in the 528. Daner now back in behind Montello, trying to see if he can get past. Great run here through turn 14. See if he decides to push or if he's going to go on by. Looks like, oh, he tried both at once. Pass and a push. Yeah, I was going to say, it's kind of hard to push when the car is rotating. You have a very good chance at spinning someone out, like we just saw there. And for the lead, here comes Pilata on O'Seal at turn 4. It looks like they're still not settled their differences side by side into the chicane. Oh, that's going to be a cut for Pilata there for sure. 100%. Or not. Nope, it is. Never mind. There he goes. Yeah, there was no way that was going to work out for him. Go back through and watch as they come through. And this is a pretty fine line. If you cross center line over the apex of that curb, this is going to get you a penalty here. And it's not by much, but it's just enough. And Daniel gave him plenty of room. I think Pilata just thought he would just try to take the shortest line through to get as much speed carried over, but it cost him quite a bit of speed. Now he's got Jameson Huffman in behind, and then Morgan Burkhardt, John Carlos Schooler as well in the top 5. I think Burkhardt's the most dangerous of this group. Again, we've seen just how fast he is, and he's within striking distance of those 2 in front of him. And then O'Seal only gained about half a second on Pilata, even with that slowdown. So he's not very far off in the distance either. So if Morgan can dispatch Huffman and Pilata relatively quickly, he'll be in good shape as I pulled away, and there goes Huffman for second. Oh, no. And after what looked like could have been such a good finish, just made a huge mistake.
Oh, actually, it wasn't even really
I think he got helped.
Technically his fault. Yeah, no, it was here's what happened here.
Pilata goes off, and he tried to miss it.
Yeah, you just kind of just follow the leader there for a second. You saw Huffman, Pilata, Burkhardt, and Schooler all take a ride through the grass.
Maybe there's some credence to that oil you were saying earlier.
Dumped it on the racetrack, dumped it on the grass.
Not something that iRacing models yet, but sometimes you'd believe it.
It's already slippery out there now. I can imagine when there is actual.
Oh, he's going to get hit again down here at turn 1. He almost got hit by Stafford. And look at this little battle into turn 1. Montello. That's Sawicki in the orange car.
These guys are probably going to be worn out by the end of just this race number 2 because they've been constantly in fights side by side into some of these corners. Speaking of which, Montello tried to make a dive on the inside of Dana. This is a battle for 19th.
Wow, big jump for Mike Leader. Can he hang on to it? Yes. You saw him airborne in the foreground of that shot. The slowdown will accompany that.
Up ahead, Pilata's gone past Giancarlo Schooler, trying to make his charge back to the front. Morgan Burkhardt's in second, trying to catch Ken Hauseal. Hauseal's broken a bit of a gap. There's Montello still side by side with Daner, though. And their battle commences yet again. It's
so interesting watching these cars on the brakes into 7. You can just see how unstable they get. They wiggle and they wobble around as the rear gets light. Pretty fascinating. Daner hangs on to the outside. What a move by the black and yellow Phoenix Performance car. Sticks around the outside, and that's the move that won Alessandrini race 1. Unfortunately, this is only for about 19th spot here on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it takes extra bravery to try to work around on the outside with the grass right next to you, because if you step one bit of tire onto the grass, you're going to be spinning out of control like we seen earlier in race number 1. And Dana looks like he's going to win that battle against Montello, and you can still see them side by side and behind with them. There's Kevin Zhu trying to make up from his spin early on in race 1, trying to work his way back up the order. Is currently in 21st.
And goes defensive now on Richard Sawicki and Trent McMillian in the number 36. Weaving down the front straightaway. You'd see this the opposite direction at about 230 on Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, imagine these things do at 230 miles an hour.
They don't even do 130 miles an hour, so they need a little bit of help. And whoa, slide for Daner. Looked like he had an extra 300 horsepower into the rear wheels there for a second.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of these guys in a lot of these corners, I think just due to the nature of them, just the back end stepping out. You mentioned turn 7, turn 2, we've been seeing quite a few guys do it as well.
One car back there, Ed Harris, running a TechSport livery. TechSport runs the BRZ and TC America. Trouble for Will Robbins. See what happened to the 35, and I think he was all on his own. Let's have a look. Turn 7 here.
I think this is what we're talking about here, if I'm correct. Yep, just put a little bit too much wheel into it, back end and had too much, and around she went.
At the same time, Adam Kobach had an issue. I think it was at turn 7 as well. Maybe there was some contact here. Or maybe he was just dropping spots from a slowdown, but I saw him drop down the order a couple of spots. So whatever happened there.
And meanwhile, up ahead, leaders, white flag as they've come across the line, and Burkhardt's trying to chase down Ken Hauseal in the 23 as they head off into turn 1.
Can't even see Burkhardt right now. He's right in the silhouette of the 23 into turn 1. And you're right, white flag this time by.
And last lap, Burkhardt was a second faster than Hauseal. I imagine that Hauseal made a little bit of a mistake, but just made a huge amount of time through turns 1 and 3.
And look, that's about 5 car lengths, but now it's 4, now it's 3. And this is where Morgan was able to get by Alessandrini in race 1. About 3/10 back here. It's a lot of ground to make up, so it's going to happen in the final sector of the racetrack. If he can't get to his inside by turn 7, he's a little too far back now.
He's a little bit too far back, but we saw what DJ was able to do. If he wasn't able to get the move done here, he was able to do it later on. It's just going to be a matter, can Burkhardt get that run back onto the speedway part of the track? He can get that done here. Coming up to this right-hander now. Does he make a move to the inside? No. Just to get a better launch off than Hauseal. And Hauseal actually got a fantastic launch off.
He did, but in the middle of that complex between turns 7 and 9, Burkhardt just got a little nose weight on the car by touching the brake, but keeping throttle input. So he kind of lunged forward, but had front grip to do something with it into turn number 12 now. Just 3 corners left. Burkhardt is there on Hauseal. Goes up the inside at 13. A big dive. Pulls the pass. Can he complete it? He does.
Wow, fantastic late race move in the penultimate corner. Halcyon trying to fight back, but the inside line's taken.
He's going to do it.
To the line.
Here he comes to the outside. Can he side draft him here? Drag race to the checkers. There it is. Burkhardt's got the advantage, and yes, he will cross the bricks first in race number 2.
Very close gap there. 23 thousandths of a second at the line for the leaders. Ooh, and a car wreck. That's Ryan Dana.
Ryan Daner in the 14 Jelly Belly car. And see what got him here. He was right ahead of the 38. Ooh, he got in there hot on behind Jamison Huffman and just looped it around. And I'm not sure if he killed it, stalled it, but wasn't able to get rolling. Didn't go around to the right to correct it. But another fantastic race. It started messy, but the end of that race was excellent. The battle between Burkhardt and Halcyon, that was phenomenal, phenomenal stuff. Here's a look at your top 10 finishers of race number 2, Finney.
Yeah, solid job by everyone there, especially the leaders, Burkhardt and Halcyon, for fighting hard and fighting clean. Also want to add that's a very important part. Pilata, Taggart, Schooler, top 5. Schooler able to come back into the top 5. Lapras in 6th, Patrick, Treacle, Huffman, and Pataki back in 10th, struggling, I think, after that first lap. And you can see a lot of the rest of the orders jumbled up after all the chaotic things that happened in that first lap. Not even just the first lap, the first half lap.
Yeah, and even beyond that, there was just a lot of chaotic racing there for a little bit, but they got it sorted out, and we've got a little bit of time to go back and watch some of the moments from race number 1 and race number 2. We've got about 3 minutes, so let's go back first of all, and let's watch the battle with Alessandrini and Burkhardt. So let's go back a little bit further to catch Burkhardt here down the inside of Alessandrini at turn 7. This is race 1. DJ leaves him the lane. Wasn't able to protect. And then right here, DJ has lost this race, but sees an opportunity. Look at him arc this thing into turn number 10. Look at the run he gets. I think Burkhardt almost slowed up, maybe intentionally trying to stay right to prevent the over-under, but DJ takes all the momentum and goes to the left.
I think he also probably should have, if I was him, I would have tried to block DJ out to the left-hand side and try to kill some of his momentum, because he had a great run here, almost dead even, then pinches Burkhardt to the inside, and then has a great run here through the penultimate corner, stuck on the inside lane. And you can see right here, just narrowly clear Burkhardt, and then just puts his car in front to clear him off in the final corner.
Burkhardt wanted that so bad, he wasn't able to get it done. And then in race number 2, here's the battle we had coming back to the stripe. Halcyon and Burkhardt. Now, Burkhardt saw the opportunity at turn number 13. Halcyon didn't defend it. It's almost like he was guiding him to dive down that inside, thinking that he would just over-under him, but Morgan did an excellent job at keeping the car under control, and here's this pass.
Yeah, you can see it was made up there. You see in turn 12, Burkhardt making up a huge amount of time, Halcyon struggling the exit, and then there, I think he just wasn't expecting to be that close or that able to make the move, and then Burkhardt saw the opportunity, made the lunge, and then defended the inside lane perfectly.
And well done. I mean, Morgan certainly sent it in there, but what he didn't do was dive in there and slam into the 23's door, and Halcyon left space. Great racing, and then there was the margin of victory at the stripe. Just phenomenal racing between these two, and a joy to watch. Here's this run back to the stripe.
I'm sure Halcyon was wishing the straightaway was further down, because he might have had him.
Another 50 feet or so he might have had him. Look at that. By a fender at the start-finish line. That is what we were hoping for here tonight. But warm-up is almost complete. We've got one more race left to do, and that is our longer race number 3. And if the first 2 races were any indication, this is going to be a good one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's been quite surprising me. I wasn't sure what to expect from Indianapolis, but the finishes have been extremely close and extremely entertaining. And we'll see now with a slightly longer race. Does it become more entertaining? I would think so.
I think you just get 5 extra minutes of slipping and sliding around in the beginning of the race. I think the end is going to look fairly similar. I think drivers are going to wait until that last half a lap to make a move. I don't think you have to get it done by 7. I thought you did coming into the night, but these cars are so versatile at what they're good at that you can really stick it down late in the lap if you know what you're doing, and these drivers certainly do up front.
And the race session just about to start here as the warm-up period is ending, getting ready for that final race number 3. 15 minutes on the clock for these guys to duke it out. I'm sure for some drivers it's going to be a miserable race, because especially for DJ Alessandrini starting all the way back in
38th. That is going to be a long, long ride up forward. And yeah, Can't even see all the cars ahead of him, but I promise you it is a lot. Also, it is getting late in the day here.
Yeah, they started this at, I think, 8 o'clock. It's 8:45 in the sim. So there's a little bit of daylight out because they made it during June. It's June 4th in the sim as well. So a little bit of sunlight out, not that much. Not that it would matter because of the huge amount of cloud overcast we have on the racetrack.
Definitely not when we captured this B-roll earlier. It's more, even when we got this aerial shot from practice day, I guess, a couple days ago. But back down to the racetrack, it is cloudy, a little dreary looking, actually. But about time for our third and final race of the week, round number 6. Next week, we head to Detroit, Belle Isle. And that's going to be a really interesting one, a street race, Vinny, to really spice things up.
Yeah, street race, and normally it would be a lot more chaotic, but these cars are so small and nimble, I don't think it'll be as terribly chaotic. We'll see how they do there, but first we've got one more race here at the Indianapolis Road Course to take and get done with. Burkhart leading Canal Seal. Plata, Taggart, Schooler top 5. That's a really tasty, really fast top 5. Who do you think is going to win it out of those 5 drivers?
It's really hard to root against Burkhart. I think he's just done such an excellent job in this one. I think starting up front, he's going to have to play it a little bit more interestingly, but the only driver that's up there that I think really can go toe-to-toe with them is Plata starting in 3rd. Oh, no, sorry, Seal. I don't think Plata's been quite as consistent enough, as consistent as Ken, but he also has gotten hit a couple of times, so hopefully he can make it through this one.
Well, I'm going to put money on Ken Seal in the 23 car. I agree. I think Plata hasn't been as consistent enough. We'll see, though, if he can change. He might be able to change his fate here in race number 3 and get past 23 and the 2, but we'll see here.
Cars heading through turn number 12, the last time under control of the safety car. And the safety car will take the right-hand turn onto pit lane. This is one of the tracks that I have gotten the pleasure of seeing in person, even in road course form. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is one of the most premier facilities in the world for a variety of reasons, but when you step foot in this place, it screams history and everybody wants to win. Tonight, a couple of drivers have. Morgan Burkhart's done it. Alessandrini's done it. Green flag flies. We're green again. Race 3 of 3 for the WDCR SCCA Virtual Racing League, round number 6, and it is a frantic start. Everybody crowding that pit wall on the run to turn 1.
Darko School giving a big run to Andrew Plata, trying to get past Ken Seal. Burkhart leading everyone on down. Oh, they're already wrecking by the time they get to turn 1. One driver out and going to bail on the access road and get on through, and it looks like they're going to narrowly avoid a disaster with that.
And actually, everyone in the background gets through there as well, so that's good to see. And the driver that had to bail was that Schooler, I believe it was.
Schooler, yeah.
Yep. Oh, slide spin for Ficacci in the middle of the racetrack and nowhere to go. And this is going to be another big one as everybody scatters. One more car sailing off in the background.
It wasn't as chaotic as I was expecting it to be, but still chaotic nonetheless.
Alessandrini has picked up a whole bunch of spots, 23rd after starting 38th. Look at him slice and dice through the field. This is going to be a fun view to watch.
I was going to say, definitely want to keep an eye on. Look at him darting around. He's darting around and trying to pass these guys like he's in a prototype fighting GT cars. And look at him sailing around the outside pretty much like he's a prototype.
Got himself in trouble at Barber last week. And this time, won race 1, got taken out in race 2. And now is hunting his way forward. In half a lap, he's made up more than a dozen spots.
No real change up for the leaders. Pretty much the same business up there. There's Kevin Zhu in the 293, currently in 16th place, now trying to fight back on Montello.
And has some overlap here into turn 13, but he's going to decide against using it. Louis Alessi in that silver and black and red 43. Alessandrini grabs another spot. Here he comes up inside the top 20.
And all by the time lap 1 finish. I mean, even with that wreck aside, that's very impressive.
I don't know.
Lead, though.
What's the record for the most positions gained in a lap on SimTV? It's got to be close to 20.
That's got to be that's a great question to ask. I'm sure someone will hopefully know that answer.
You're my stats guy. I thought you were supposed to know that stuff.
I don't give you the track of that.
What do I pay you for?
It's a much harder stat to keep track of.
Here's Greg Ginsburg. I don't see the typical Oreo livery on it this week. Not sure if it didn't load or what, but down into turn 1, no Oreo car for the 72 as a couple of cars make contact behind him.
Trying to work his way on through. James Cather's just getting ahead of him, and Cather is unfortunate for him. Had such a good run in race number 1 and still trying to recover from his wreck in the last race. And I see these guys head towards the chicane, mostly single file.
Oh, Michael Montello a little out of line behind Ginsburg, but carry on. Here's Heidesek getting some overlap on Peter Zhang for the run down to turn number 7. They're almost touching fenders. And there's Alice Andretti popping on a line. This is looking at 19th place. Richard Sawicki, both these drivers competitors in a wheel-to-wheel series in the real world. Same wheel-to-wheel series, I should mention.
Duking it out in the sim.
Big dive for Peter Zhang. Peter's at one that'll be driving in that same touring car series this season. About a third of that fight, just a little further back.
And makes his way out through Sawicki, who made a mistake coming back into the main circuit.
Mike Leader recovering pretty nicely. He got looped around early and up to 12th place in this one, battling Treacle and Colin Daner, who's on his inside.
And Daner trying to get on through, and he'll narrowly poke that 88 car through.
It's been quiet up front, but that is the calm before the storm, let me tell you. They are not done fighting by any stretch. Top four.
At this point,
go ahead.
At this point, they're just kind of waiting out the extra 5 minutes that we added on the clock before they really start duking it out.
One driver that kind of crept into this picture is Darian Taggart. He had a really good result in race 2. Didn't get a chance to mention him, but here he is now running in 5th place. You know, he's capable. He's had a lot of bad luck and has started in the back a handful of times this season, but I think he could get up there and win this race too. We'll have to keep our eye on the 95.
Definitely have to keep an eye on him, see if he can make some noise in that beautiful Red Bull livery. As you mentioned, not a whole lot of luck coming his way. This might be the chance for him to turn around, try to catch back up to leaders. And not just catch them, but make a pass, which is going to be really difficult to do because you see how Steele, Plata, and Patrick are all able to make really solid moves.
Treacle and Daner trading spots in a big send from Matt Chrissy in behind, trying to get alongside them in the braking zone. Look at Daner running out way wide here. Treacle's going to cross him over and then get ahead of him in the steering and do the same back at turn 10. And there's trouble behind him as this pass is facilitated. Sawicki goes around at turn 7.
I'm curious what caused that, or if he had some help.
Nope. Oh, well, there was some contact, but not with him. And Heidesek has just had a problem. That's at turn 10, I believe. Don Cathers, ooh, he just tried to dive in there and
yeah,
too late. Couldn't make that stick.
Too little, too late, and around he went.
Here we go up front. Burkhardt and Hausiel pushing. Pilata trying to go on by, but no help. It's like a race at Talladega. You need a dancing partner to get by him.
Here to see, do we see any moves? Not quite. Pilata still trying to look to the inside, and Kilpatrick trying to look to the outside of Pilata. Couldn't quite get there in time, but all stacked close together. Jameson Huffman now past Darren Taggart.
And he had a huge look down into turn 1 and managed to make it stick. Look at this gaggle into turn 1.
These guys deep on the brakes for all of them. And it's going to be Peter Zhang that's going to narrowly get ahead as he skippers off into turns 3 with a little bit of the back end sticking out. Montello, Alessi, Tristan ooh, and Kovac off and around. Ooh, Ginsburg also involved as well. Oh, still hitting.
Okay. Couple drivers joining the party there pretty late. Ken Hausiel got passed by Pilata a moment ago, so moved the 96 to P2. And this is where it gets dangerous. You're about a second behind Morgan Burkhardt. You have to be able to reel him back in. And that's been tricky for people to do even here. It took him a while in race 1.
Yeah, we could see potentially if Hausiel catches up to Pilata on the straightaway, could give a little bit of a shove to the 96 to kind of help reel in the two. I'm sure they all want to win this race. They don't want to all fight for second.
Ooh, almost a touch there into turn 12. Hausiel kind of panic braked. I wonder when we'll see the headlights pop on, or if we'll see those headlights pop on. We're getting pretty late in the day here. I don't think I've seen these cars with headlights on yet, just the running LED strip.
Yeah, I mean, now that I think about it. Oh, and as you mentioned it, I think they just came on.
They sure did. There they are. It's almost like I'm like a wizard up here. And the taillights. I was
going to say, I'm not sure what time sunset is in the sim right after you said that, so apparently it's now.
I'm the god of GR86s.
Whoa, and some contact. Oh, and a car around, Patry around, in behind Hausiel.
I think he got some help down at turn number 1. I heard the contact, didn't see it. Oh, no, the contact might have... Oh, he got in there too hot, and then he got hit from Huffman. And then Treacle has had an issue a little bit later. Here's what happened into turn 1 between him and I think that's Mike Leader in the 53. Right here.
Just clips the 70 and around he goes. And Treacle was having a decent run up until that.
And Patry's around again. it goes from bad to worse for the Delta Sport 198. Pretty wide here. Jack Chrissy, Anthony Montello, Mike Leader, and here comes DJ Alessandrini up to 14th place. His progress has slowed but not stalled. And he's going to try to go around the outside of the 268 at Montello.
Not surprised once you get into the top 20 if there's some really solid competition. So I'm sure DJ's had a lot more issues with that until they made a mistake. But now fighting aggressively, there's Anthony Montello just ahead of him.
He's wringing the neck of this car, sliding the nose around, just trying to gain any grip, any purchase he can. He's 15 seconds back from the leaders. He doesn't have a chance to get up front, but he certainly could get a top 10. His top 10 is right in front of him here as they head into turn 12. Look at the sky. Gorgeous night of racing here, and it is getting frisky here for the top 10 spot. Whoop.
Everyone fighting for that spot, and Colin Daner off to pit lane. I think he has a drive-through. No, he actually has a meatball, and that's because he ended up making contact with Kilpatrick when he went around the second time.
Oh, that's a bummer. BJ getting a boost from Mike Leader. And Jack Chrissy is P10, and then it's 7 seconds up to the next highest driver. That would be 9th place Will Robbins.
Yeah, they go off into turn 1. DJ hard on the brakes, gonna get by Montello, move himself up to 11th. Now it's just Jack Chrissy to deal with, till he can get inside the top 10.
Crossover there from Leader, trying to get purchase on Montello. There's that sky I was talking about.
Yeah, it looks really good. The sky's on fire.
Ooh, big jump there for Montello over the turn 5 curbing. Now back up inside the top 5. There's Christopher Lappers, who's just clinging to it. And he started 6th in this one and has Darian Taggart behind him, who has slowly dropped backwards. I think this battle could reignite here.
Oh, it definitely can. We'll see if Taggart can try to catch back up to Lapras. Lapras fast into turn 1. Lapras is trying to catch up to the leaders.
A little bit of nose damage, which I don't think is helping. You can't really see it from this angle, but on the roof cam, there is a pretty sizable dent. And with how limited this car is on horsepower, I'm sure it is not aiding him down the long straightaways here. And for second place, Hausiel crossed over Pilata at 13 and gets by.
Yeah, really solid job. Actually, it looked like wasn't even that much. It looks like Pilata did it on purpose. Pilata purposely went out to the outside to let Hausiel on through.
I wonder if he was noticing that they weren't really gaining any ground and wanted to put Hausiel back in front. I mentioned that I think Hausiel is the only one that can really stick with Morgan Burkhardt. He's got to dispatch his lap traffic really quickly, though. That was not ideal. And Pilata the same.
Whoa! Hausiel was wrecking going on the outside line, going off the racing line.
Not what they needed. That dropped them 2 seconds back of Morgan Burkhardt, and it is going to be very tricky to run him back down in 4 minutes' time. And they're going to get on it and push.
Well, I don't even think that Pilata can push Hausiel, because look at the giant dent that Hausiel has on the left-hand side. He might turn him if he tries to hook up.
Got to try something, or just be faster than Morgan, which we know has been a challenge this season. That driver in the number 2 is so fast. But see how different the straightaway speeds are in draft versus not in draft, and how much they'll slow each other down. They're going to have only 3 laps to do it. No, 2 laps next time.
I was going to say 2 laps at the line, so they're not going to have a whole lot of time to work with here. And I'm sure Burkhardt's loving this, because now he's got a 2-second lead to work with.
Biggest lead he's had all night. But even a 7/10 of a second lead, if it would have come down about a second and a half or so, is not enough to just easily cling to a victory. We saw that in both the first 2 races.
Hausiel getting a decent run on through, and actually made up about 2/10 of a second in this section. Now 3/10 by the time they exit it. So he's still catching up to that 2. He's going to need some help from the guys in behind.
So we'll see what max speed is for Pilata versus Burkhardt. I'm going to see Burkhardt hit the brakes first. 112, 113, 114, 116. Four-mile-an-hour difference, 123 to 119. And they gained 3/10 back on that straightaway. So I don't think all is over, but they lost some time at the exit of 2. So it's going to kind of ebb and flow here in the next couple of moments, but it's still a tall task.
This battling is also definitely not helping the issue as well. I think now that Pilata's in front, they should just keep him in front. I think that was kind of the point of them switching back, that now that Hausiel has some damage, it seems like it might be slowing him down. on the straights. A little look further back, though. There's Peter Zhang, I believe, fighting for position.
Yep, Zhang on Shrivastava. Now, I wonder if Pilata and Hausil did that on purpose as a because Pilata had so much momentum, but I'd almost say that these cars are better at bump drafting than they are at leapfrogging, which is the strategy I think they were trying to employ there.
Yeah, I agree. I think these cars are way too slow to try to do that strategy. I mean, maybe they were trying to do something, maybe they weren't. They haven't really made up a whole lot of time. In fact, I think they've lost a little bit of time throughout this lap.
Yeah, just slightly, but it's not, I mean, the cars are, the straightaway speed is one thing, but these things have a power to drag problem where you pull out a line and you've got power.
Ooh, contact. Pilata and Hausil making contact, hitting into turn 12, and there comes James and Huffman trying to take advantage of the situation.
I almost wonder if they're kind of giving up on this strategy now.
Whoa!
Mike Leader has had a problem. You see Huffman bobble it, and here comes Lapras. A lot of made up, actually. Morgan Burkhardt lost about 3/10 that lap, but this time through, it's white flag anyway.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if he's got enough time. Wow, you see the 33 lappers barging
Whoa,
his
they're
way,
going to crash on the straightaway.
Moving people out of the way on the straightaway, trying to make it 3 wide middle, makes Huffman back out. Lapras have to work on Hausil to the inside, and he's going to muscle his way on through to third.
Yeah, these guys are leaning on each other. There goes Huffman spinning that turn 1. We've seen that a couple times tonight. But I was saying the power to drag, when you pull out, these cars don't have the power to push through their drag, so they hit a brick wall of air. And it is challenging to do that leapfrogging, and that did not work. Pilata did gain some time on Burkhardt, but it's not going to be enough unless Burkhardt makes a mistake, which by himself he probably won't do.
I'd be surprised if he did with this late in the going. Here comes Lapras and Hausil still fighting for third position. Hausil going to move to the right-hand side of the track and heading to turn 7. And on the outside, too, this has been one of Hausil's worst corners, especially on the outside. You see that 23 tracking out, leaving some tire marks, still trying to fight now with Lapras as they go side-by-side through the final sector.
Oh, yeah, tricky spot to hang on to. He's got overlap still at turn 10. And Darian Taggart's running him back down. Could he sneak in here at the very end? Alessandrini, Huffman are trading spots for 9th. We were watching this battle here as they head to 12.
Here comes Lapras now looking to the outside into turn 12. Hausil taking a very defensive line on the inside as they both get into the braking zone.
Here comes the move up the inside for Lapras. Hausil leaves the space again, coming back to the checkers. Pilata ran him down to just 1 second back. He needed another lap or 2. He will not get there. Morgan Burkhardt will win this race. Pilata second. Third is a toss-up, though, to the line. Hausil, Lapras, and Taggart's coming out of nowhere. 3 wide across the line, but they will finish. Hausil, Lapras, Taggart, the rest of your top 5.
Giancarlo Sculla is going to round back up for 6th place with Will Robbins coming back in 7th. Deacon Greenfield come home in 8th. DJ Alstri is going to just get 9th over Jack Christie in 10th.
Here's a look at a replay here into turn number 12. Alessandrini on the outside, Huffman on the inside. Huffman hit the curb, tracked out into DJ, and looped around and called it quits, so he will not finish race number 3.
Fortunate for Huffman because he was in the top 5 when they took the white flag.
Ryan Carwile out of fuel.
No, that's kind of surprising.
Limping it back to the stripe. And might maybe lose 1 more spot here, maybe 2. Here comes Shoemaker, and Kobach will just beat him to the line. Whew. Out of breath. Are you?
Oh, absolutely. This has been too much excitement tonight in these 3 races. I'm sure everyone watching definitely enjoyed it at home because we definitely enjoyed it in the booth.
Man, interesting race for sure. I thought all 3 of the finishes were really, really good, but here's a look at your race results. Morgan Burkhardt wins his 2nd of the night. Pilata P2. Hausil grabs another podium. Lapras, Taggart, the rest of your top 5. Will Robbins, Deacon Greenfield, and Jack Christie all sneaking inside the top 10, and DJ from 38th to 9th. What a drive.
Yeah, really, what a drive. I think that's probably got to be one of the biggest movers in a single race. I'm trying to think if there's anyone more. I'm sure there probably is in our past, but definitely one of the biggest movers in a race in MTV history.
And moving on now to the second page of finishers, 11th through 20th. Montello, Treacle, Michael Montello, then Zhu and Shrivastava. Peter Zhang, top 16 there, had some trouble tonight, but managed to 16th in race 3. And Sawicki managed to bounce back for a top 20.
Yeah, then moving on back to outside the top 20, a lot of guys that struggled. McMillian, Meinhardt, Hadjusek, Harris, Shoemaker. and then Kovac, Carwile, Willem, Ginsberg, and Huffman. And then pretty much past Huffman is most of the retirements in race number 3, Leader, Manning, Crane, Daner, Gathers, Ficacci, Stafford, and No. We are 38 guys that finished this race.
Yeah, pretty wild race for sure. Race number 3. We do have some drivers with us waiting to chat. One of them is Ken Howe-Seal. He managed P3 in race number 3. Ken, wild races tonight. Race 1 for you, you put yourself in a position to advance up onto pole. Just lost out race number 2, and then race number 3 got kind of tangled up and weren't able to fight for it there at the end. But this track put on some really wild racing and some fantastic last laps. Take us through your part of the show tonight.
Yeah, race 1 was, I just didn't have the pace and everybody was driving away, and Jamison and I had a good battle there going, and we tangled in the chicane on the back, and just neither one of us was willing to give any room, and I was up in the grass, so nowhere to go there. But then, yeah, race 2 was really good with Morgan on the last lap. I was expecting a move, and then he made a move in an unexpected spot. And then race 3, that was frustrating. I don't know what that guy was thinking. That was not ideal. Really wanted to race with Morgan, and then I don't know what happened there with Andrew. I don't know if he braked early or what, but I had to check up real hard to not completely kill him, and then I got battling with everybody else. Really fun finish, but geez.
Well, it was fun to watch. The ends of all 3 races were pretty spectacular, even if it wasn't a battle for the lead, Ken. But good fights. We head to Detroit Belle Isle next week, a street course with these cars. They have soft suspension, which, for better or for worse, has made them the way they are. How do you expect Belle Isle to go next week?
I kind of expect it to be a little messy, but like single car wrecks that people just sort of don't have any room to avoid and turn into multi-car wrecks. But honestly, I tested the car there. It's lots of fun, and if you're smart, it's not even too tippy, so it doesn't want to roll over off the curbs. So it should be really fun to lap. We'll see how it goes to race. I'm not sure there's going to be great passing zones, but...
All right, well, Ken Howe-Seal, 2 podiums tonight. Great job, Ken. We'll see you next week at Belle Isle.
Yeah, thanks. See you guys.
And next up will be Andrew Pilata, who had a couple of podiums tonight, brings it home second in the final race. Andrew never really got a fair shot at it there in that last one, got kind of tangled up and weren't able to run Morgan back down. But 3 very unique, interesting races. Take me through your night and battling up inside the top 5.
Yeah, I think it was largely a battle of survival, kind of a lot like the IR. I guess there's a lot of similar characteristics there of kind of playing the draft and things like that. But yeah, it seemed like we all kind of struggled, and well, by all I mean pretty much everybody except Morgan with, incidents, and I got cut penalties and stuff like that. So it seemed everybody was kind of trying to manage that a little bit. But other than that, it was really just kind of put in laps, and it didn't really, I guess, click for me till the end there.
Well, it just came up 8/10 short. We head to Belle Isle next week. That'll be an interesting one. We're going to wall all this in and try it again next week on another flat racetrack with big, tall curbs. How do you think you're going to do there, and have you begun to prep for that next week?
Well, yeah, I'll just make sure to bring those inflatable, parking bumpers and hope for the best.
All right. Andrew, thanks for chatting with us. Good luck next week. We'll see you there.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Morgan Burkhardt brings it home. A couple of victories tonight for the number 2 Delta Sport car. Morgan, a lot of the drama was behind you tonight, but it was frantic out there. And that battle for the Race 2 victory and the Race 1 victory was pretty epic. Take us through your battles tonight, trying to run down DJ and then keeping Ken behind you in Race 2.
Well, for sure, it was difficult. I didn't really catch a break until the end of Race 3. But during Race 1, I don't even remember what happened. I think I was leading for a bit, and I got DJ behind me. And when he went through, I was just like, all right, I'll kind of roll over and see if I can do something on the last lap. But the way the A-pillars placed in this car, give me a minute. Apologies. The way the A-pillars placed, it's so difficult to see the apex of the final corner, even when you're not side by side. So I ended up giving him a little bit extra room than I think I could have. And it kind of screwed my run up onto the front straight, but it was a pretty good race, and it was close at the end. And then Race 2 is really lucky to get around the Schlemazel and turn 2. Kind of the hole just opened and I went through, and managed to run Ken down after that, and didn't get the run that I wanted out of the S's, and pretty much just full sent, used all of the car that I could in the third to last corner, and was able to get down the inside of the second to last, and kind of, I guess, caught him sleeping a little bit. So that's pretty good.
Fun to watch, Morgan. Congratulations. Belle Isle next week. It's going to be really interesting. Walling everything in and trying again. So good luck to you there. We'll see you there.
Thank you very much.
All right, Finian. Wow, that was fantastic. I had a good time tonight watching all that back. Let's go back one more time and watch the tail end of both the first two races, because this battle here and the pass that DJ did and how he was able to just clear Morgan Burkhardt, this was phenomenal stuff here.
Yeah, you can see him narrowly able to clear that. Then you have to use a little bit of muscle as well to push the two just out of the way so you can clear.
Yeah, again, watching this here, he just sees the gap there, and Morgan tried to force it, couldn't quite get it done. And then in the second race, we had a really good battle to the stripe there. And then in the third race, coming into the final couple of corners, there was this battle here between Lapras, Ausile, and Jamison Huffman here. A little bit of bobbing, weaving, and door banging here down the front straightaway. Got pretty dicey at times, Finian, but this was a fun one. A little bit of drama as always, but I think at least the show was there. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic job by all these guys. It was a little bit messy in some parts, but all the battles to the lead have been very clean, very hard fought, and very exciting to watch.
Well, we're going to do it again next week. Detroit Belle Isle's round number 7. We'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching Sim TV. Kyle Heyer, Finian DeCuna, bringing you the action. We'll see you tomorrow night for the FSS Esports Spec Miata Series, or the next week again for Detroit Belle Isle for the BR86 Series, WDCR, SCCA, VRL. We'll see you there.